Is breakfast really the most important meal of the day? Never skip your breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. The 19th century line by Kellogg's, most important meal of the day is your breakfast. So never skip it. So what do you think it is? How important breakfast is for your well-being? Let's just break it down. So before I break down the food that you actually can have for your breakfast, I'm going to tell you the benefits of having the breakfast. Also, I would be covering a little bit of variables as to what are the exceptions to those benefits. All right. So the first one is that when you're having your breakfast, the name itself is breakfast. So when you're having your breakfast, it's nothing but you are filling the nutrients back to your system, back into your body. What happens is, like, throughout the night, you're not eating anything. So right from the vitamins, minerals, glucose, everything is being depleted for a long period of time since there is no ingestion. So after 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever the time duration that is, you're having a breakfast so that your nutrition is getting back into your system. And that is why the instantaneous energy that you feel, the dopamine spike that you feel, and whatnot. So the first benefit is you're filling your nutrients back into your system. Number two is that you're kicking up the metabolism. So there is a process called as a metabolism activation, and that is nothing but your energy expenditure anytime during the day. So that actually goes up. That means if you're having a breakfast, your metabolism goes up. All right. That means you're spending more energy while compared to not having a breakfast. And this is, of course, an exception because I'll tell you what exactly you have to do if you are on the intermittent fasting, which is basically skipping your breakfast. Okay. So second one is upping your metabolism. Number three is basically you have energy, so you won't crash. So if you're feeling weak after skipping your meal or anything like that, that's nothing but the glucose level is going down and you really don't have the energy. So of course there is a transition period where your energy is being taken from the food or from the stored fat. That's a different topic altogether. I'll tell the story another day. Now here, let's stick with the actual benefit that if you're having your breakfast, you will have better energy. These are the potential benefits of having a breakfast. Now let's go into what exactly you need to eat for the breakfast. Okay. So before I break down what you can eat, I want you to have a clear understanding on the nutrients part. So the nutrients can be divided into two categories. One is a micro and another one is a macro. Well, I'll put it the other way. So one is the macro and another one is a micro. So macro is 3 plus 1. That is protein, carbs, and fats. And of course, the last one is the fiber. Okay, you need it in large quantity for your body to operate. Then comes your micronutrients. Micronutrients is nothing but the minerals and vitamins. So of course, there are fat solubles, there are water solubles, minerals and acids and all that. I don't want to go into the science, but on a surface level, this is all you need to understand. And the problem with Indian food is that there is no balance. When I say there is no balance, we are focusing a lot on the quantity. That means we are predominantly looking at filling the stomach. Now, I do understand if you go back in the days, it is all about survival. We were in the survival mode. We didn't have much. And as the history of India was like most of it was on the slave section. So we didn't have really much options. But right now, that is not the case. And it's really high time for us to adapt. Now, the problem is we are still sticking with the same system, and that is essentially leading us to a very poor lifestyle. And that is the problem. So let's take a look at what are we having for the Indian breakfast. So our primary staple is either the wheat or the rice or probably the millets, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the only thing is, when you are having this one, there's a huge dopamine and the glucose spike. Okay. When there is a spike, you feel good when you're having your breakfast, but immediately, most of you must have experienced this. After half an hour or 45 minutes, you experience a crash. You experience a lethargic, like feeling tiredness, the sleeping temptation, regardless of you having a good night's sleep on the previous night. And that is because you're having a sugar crash. All right. So insulin spikes up so much that your nutrients are being rushed into the blood and just goes on to the organs and cells and whatnot. Okay. Then after that, immediately there's a drop. So in this drop, what happens is there's a crash that's happening. So how can you solve this one? Now, listen, this is what you need to understand. Towards the north side, it's more of the wheat, and towards the south, it's more of the rice. Now both are bad in a way. Why? Because there is no balance. It is only on the carbohydrate section. That means it's slow carbs on the north and fast carbs on the south. Now what happens is like you're still spiking the insulin regardless of you having the wheat, because you also have, like, you must have heard that, okay, wheat is like healthy for your system. Well, wheat has gluten, and that has got like a heavy load on your system. Okay, so I'm not asking you not to eat, but also include your protein along with your food. So whatever you're eating, just make sure that you're having your eggs or the chicken, or lentils, or if you're a vegetarian, then go for the lentils and beans and stuff like that. So what happens is there is a satiation effect, and this helps you burn your fat, burn your food slow. All right, so you will have a better energy when you just include more protein in your food. This is not only for the breakfast, but also for the lunch and for the dinner and whatnot. So you're getting the point, and that is how I want you to do that. And fats, yes, you are including, because when you're cooking anything, you are including fat. But the problem is that we are going for the cheap oils, which is the vegetable oil, sunflower oil, and things like that. And because of that, again, you are ingesting a lot of bad fats. Cool. So just replace it with good fats. I would say stick with coconut oil, peanut oil, olive oil. These are the good options. So always look for the quality and not for the quantity. And that's how you need to break down for your breakfast. Now, I just want to touch upon the variables. So what are the exceptions to the rules that I have just mentioned? So it's very simple. This will definitely change based on your goal. Now, if you are a person who want to get better with your health and get better with your body shape, and you want to lose a lot of fat and all that, now this is obviously not applicable. Okay, so you need to have more timely, slow digesting carbohydrates, where it is going to do a lot of good for you. All right, I would say the best options would be like oatmeal, or probably a little bit of millets along with your protein and fats. This is great. All right, these are the best options. Now, second variable is that if you're on intermittent fasting, obviously you are not having a breakfast. You're giving a long period of gap for your break, and then you're breaking your fast on your lunch or probably even dinner, right? Some of you are having just one meal a day, which is great. Again, that is another variable. So it's not applicable that breakfast is not necessarily the important meal of your day, right? And then comes your diabetic. So obviously, if you have any medical condition, especially diabetic, then obviously this is not applicable, because if you're diabetic, if you're just having the rice, it is just not a good idea, because you're constantly spiking the insulin, and you do not have the capacity to spike the insulin, which is why you're taking shots. Type 1, type 2, I don't want to even get into that medical condition, but then you get the point. So this is something that I really want you to pay a lot of close attention to. Regardless of carbs, spikes more insulin than protein. Okay, and fats, it depends on what fats that you consume. So you need to have the fats and protein consider this as essentials, and put the carbohydrates on the last. Again, it depends on your goal. If you are working towards, you want to gain your weight, then obviously you need to have a lot of slow digesting carbohydrates. Okay, so this is how you need to structure your breakfast based on your goal and based on your lifestyle. This is Vishak signing off.